Springfield Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting is called to order. Please stand and we'll do the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank everybody for being here tonight for our regular meeting, and I would also like to say happy birthday to our Vice Mayor, Tim Harris. Happy birthday, Mr. Harris.
Thank you.
Our first item on the agenda is 1.2, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Alderman held on June 15th, 2021, and our special called meeting held on June 17th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Any corrections?
Did it work?
Okay.
Did it work?
Are we working?
We're good. Okay.
Any corrections? We're ready for a vote. It looks different. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to our public hearing, 1.3. Our first public hearing is ordinance 21-13, an ordinance amending portions of the Springfield zoning ordinance pertaining to the hotel, motel, and extended stay motels. If there's anyone like to speak, please come to the mic. You have 2 minutes. Please state your name. No one would like to speak? Public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 2, ordinance 21-14, an ordinance rezoning one parcel located in the 9th Civil District on Highway 41 North and Wallace Road from Commercial General District to Commercial Services District. If anyone would like to speak, please come to the mic. No one would like to speak? The public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 3, ordinance 21-15, an ordinance amending Chapter 6 of the Springfield zoning ordinance pertaining to multiple residential and office districts. Would anyone like to speak? Please come to the mic. No one would like to speak. The public hearing is closed. 2.1, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-13 on a second reading. An ordinance amending portions of the Springfield zoning ordinance pertaining to hotels, motels, and extended stay motels. Do we have a motion to discuss? Motion to discuss by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Alderman Green. Questions on this second reading? No discussion? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.3, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-15 on a second. 2.2, well, I just skipped right on over and already marked it off.
She said we was going to be quick.
You do an excellent job. I was just testing you. 2.2, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-14 on a second reading. Ordinance rezoning one parcel located in the 9th Civil District, Highway 41 North and Wallace Road, from Commercial General District to Commercial Service District. A motion to discuss made by Alderman Hubbard and a second by Alderman Gregg. Any questions on this second reading? No questions? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Now 2.3, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-15 on a second reading. Ordinance amending Chapter 6 of the Springfield zoning ordinance pertaining to multiple residential and office districts. Motion made by Alderman Gregg and a second by Alderman Hubbard to discuss. Any questions? No questions or discussion. We're ready for a vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.4, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-16 on a first reading. Ordinance requiring the premises identification through numbers of the property in the city of Springfield. Do we have a motion to discuss? Motion made by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Vice Mayor Harris. Ms. Brickles, will you please read this?
Ordinance 21-16, an ordinance amending Title 16 of the Springfield Municipal Code to require premises identification through numbering of properties in the city of Springfield. Whereas the United States Postal Service has the authority over mode of delivery of mail pursuant to Section 632 of the Postal Operations Manual, and whereas the United States Postal Service is now requiring centralized delivery points, also known as cluster mailboxes, for all new residential developments, and whereas public safety personnel generally rely on numbered mailboxes to locate addresses that have placed a call for service, and whereas the new cluster mailbox requirement will eliminate numbered mailboxes at each residence and new developments, potentially creating delayed response times for emergency personnel. And whereas the city of Springfield desires to mitigate this risk by requiring identification of each residence, and whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the city of Springfield has the authority pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated 7-86-127 to require that all properties within the city limits display street numbers identifying such properties. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the city of Springfield as follows. Title 16 of the Springfield Municipal Code is hereby amended by deleting Chapter 4 entitled House Numbers in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 4 entitled House and Building Numbers as set forth in Exhibit A attached. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Thank you. I'm going to call on our city manager, Ryan Martin, first.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance is kind of self-explanatory. The United States Postal Service last year announced a new requirement for residential development where they're going to do cluster mailboxes at the front of each new residential subdivision. And so they have begun doing so. In Springfield, we have seen that, and what that creates, as the ordinance lays out, is a potential for not being able to locate these residences for our public safety personnel and even our utility personnel if we have a situation like a gas leak or something that's time sensitive, because minutes can be deadly in some instances. So what we've done is MTAS has put out a model ordinance that a lot of cities are adopting, and this is what our ordinance that we're bringing to you tonight is based upon. Are that model ordinance that MTAS is putting out statewide. Excuse me. We did, we do a great deal of research when we bring something to you all, and Dixon is a city that has beaten us to this, and so we have Ms. Tillman and Mr. Nolan, if you'll pass the mic down. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Ms. Tillman's done some research on this. Our fire department, police department have been involved. This is an example of what we would be requiring residents to place in their yard. It's reflective lettering. These signs, the metal post, Officer Long was involved in that research. I think he made the trip to Dixon. These signs cost less than $10.
Okay.
Now, the lettering, depending on what the lettering, the size or width of the lettering, I think that may bump the price up, but I think the metal post itself was around $4 to $6, where Dixon is referring all of their residents, or where the residents in Dixon are getting those. Chief Head with the 911 board has approached them about possibly looking at some scholarship program like Dixon has, or grant program, I guess not really a scholarship program, but a grant program where they help residents from not having to spend, even though it's a small amount. So we're doing that research as well, but this is something that needs to, we need to go on and get started because this requirement is here, and Bellhaven is one of those subdivisions that on South Main that developer is installing the cluster mailbox, and there are houses that are being, when I came through today, had brick on them. So there are going to be people moving into those houses soon, and we want to make sure our emergency personnel can get to the right home.
Question.
Yes, sir.
What will be the avenue of, is this going to be in their yard? Is it going to be attached to their house? I had someone ask that today. Was they going to have a yard sign? I told them I didn't know as of yet. So is it attached to their house?
It's in the yard. So the ordinance requires it to be close to the right of way, and you'll see if you hold that up again, it's got a pointy end. So it'll go into the ground, and it's supposed to be, if they have a sidewalk, near the sidewalk, but nearest the right of way, so they can be located from the road, similar to the way a mailbox would be. So we would some places have numbers on their home, but they may be 100 feet, 200 feet off the road or farther, and that may make it harder to see for emergency personnel. So that would be the idea behind this, is for it to be at the road.
So what's going to be, I mean, it looks like, as you said, it's just going to stick in the ground. There's nothing to attach it permanently where it's not going to be taken out of the ground or be moved or be knocked over, or, I mean, if that happens, I'm assuming the response time might just be less.
It would be.
Okay.
It would be, the idea, just same way with the mailbox. We encourage everybody to put numbers on their mailboxes when they have them, because if they don't, it may take us a while to get there.
But if they have one in their yard and it's knocked down or it's not up there, is no monetary fine to that person or anything if that's found?
No, I think, well, there is. They can be cited. If they don't put one out, they can be cited. So there is in the ordinance, there is a violation and penalty section, but we would encourage residents to have it there, make sure it's maintained. If it gets knocked down, put it back up, because we can't find you if they don't.
We're going to have to do some education.
This is only
I would think.
for these new residents, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So existing residential development is unaffected by the new post office requirement. This is for new subdivisions and new development only.
Mr. Trotter.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Okay. Next question. Okay. No other discussion?
But that is how Dixon is doing theirs. They're just placing it in the ground.
That's exactly what, and that's what the MTAS model ordinance says. I would imagine that's what most cities are going to do. Dixon was a city that was close to us that kind of was ahead of this game a little bit. And so we were able to go down and check them out and see exactly what they're doing. And that's something that it looks maybe larger in person, but when you put that on the side of the road in a house and you bury it, because that would go into the ground a certain bit, it's not gaudy, it's not tacky looking, it's sort of, we did it so it's sort of sophisticated looking. The MTAS model ordinance had some other colors in there, but black seems to be a good color with the white letters being able to be reflective off of there at nighttime.
Needs to pop.
Is this something that we're going to sell to these people, or?
So currently, the way the ordinance is drafted, they would acquire it privately from whoever, wherever. We're looking at a way to maybe Dixon has a grant where I don't think their residents pay anything. Is that right, Chief Ed?
Wow.
Some of them don't.
Okay, so some of them don't. And they have a grant program where they are able to give those to some residents, I guess, if they qualify or apply for that. Chief Ed's approached the 911 board about that, because it's not just a city of Springfield issue. It's going to be a county-wide issue, a district-wide issue, if you will. So we're currently exploring that, but because it takes 3 readings, we wanted to go on and get this started and bring this to you all for consideration.
Yes, sir.
Would that not be something that we would look to the contractor of the house to make sure that's in place before they start selling these houses, that those identification models are there?
They would be. I mean, you would think they should be. I don't know that there's a requirement for the contractor to put that in, but we would hope that the developer would do that. But the developer's going to put in the cluster mailboxes, so I don't know if they'll do something.
It looks like that's the way they're going to install the mailboxes. They
Maybe we can get a
might be some
grant
responsibility for that.
Maybe we can get a grant from Amazon. They're everybody.
That's right.
Yeah, they want to know where the houses are, so they dump that's a good point.
It's just as much in their interest to find these homes as ours, right?
Yeah, Amazon visits my house. Any other discussion?
I mean, I'm just assuming, because there's going to be people asking questions about this. So is that going to fall under codes?
Yes.
To make sure that this is taken care of?
The building official, according to the draft ordinance, the building official and the fire official have the authority to enforce the ordinance.
So as a city board, could we look into, or you don't feel we have any authority that we could require this to be done by the builder when these subdivisions are completed, that these signs be placed?
We can look at that and maybe bring something back on second reading. I'm not sure.
I mean, at what point is someone going to tell them that this is your responsibility? I mean, we have subdivisions now that have different requirements on their deeds that are not being followed, and because they're saying no one is telling them that when they buy a house in these subdivisions. So you've got a new subdivision that's going forward, and I mean, we may not have any authority to do so. It just looks like to me it would be the easiest way to make sure that it's done is the builder do it.
It would be.
Subdivisions are.
We'll research that, and if we do something or bring something back on second reading, if we can find out that we have that authority, we'll get with Mr. Nolan and Ms. Barty and see what avenues are available there.
Okay. Other discussion? No other discussion, we're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.5, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-17 on a first reading. An ordinance amending fiscal year 2021's annual budget by amending certain general fund operating budgets. Motion made by Alderman Hubbard to discuss and a second by Alderman Green. Ms. Brickles?
Ordinance 21-17, an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2022 annual budget for the city of Springfield by amending certain general fund and utility fund operating budgets. Whereas it is necessary to amend the city of Springfield annual budget for fiscal year 2022 in order to meet the requirements of the city charter. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee, that the city of Springfield annual budget for fiscal year 2022 is hereby amended to make necessary changes to expenditures and revenues within the funds and departments as set forth in Exhibit A attached. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Thank you. Discussion, questions on this first reading? Housekeeping. No questions? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.6, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-18 on a first reading. An ordinance amending Title 8 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Alcohol Beverages by amending Chapter 2 entitled Beer by rescinding Section 8-215 entitled Revocable of the Beer Permits and Section 8-216 entitled Civil Penalties in lieu of suspension in its entirety and substituting a new Section 8-215. A motion to discuss made by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Alderman Green. This is a first reading, so I'll call on Ms. Brickles.
Ordinance 21-18, an ordinance amending Title 8 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Alcoholic Beverage by amending Chapter 2 entitled Beer by rescinding Sections 8-215 entitled Revocation of Beer Permits and 8-216 entitled Civil Penalty in lieu of suspension in their entirety and substituting a new Section 8-215. Whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen desires to update the authority of the Beer Board with regards to suspension and revocation of beer permits, as well as the imposition of civil penalties in order to ensure consistent application of sanctions for violations of provisions in this chapter. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Title 8 of the Springfield Municipal Code is hereby amended by amending Chapter 2 entitled Beer by rescinding Sections 8-215 entitled Revocation of Beer Permits and 8-216 entitled Civil Penalty in lieu of suspension in their entirety and substituting a new Section 8-215 entitled Suspension and Revocation of Beer Permits to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached, and is further amended by renumbering Chapter 2 entitled Beer to read as set forth in Exhibit B attached. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Thank you. Questions? Any questions on this first reading? The staff's doing a great job of making our packets where we are all reading and understanding, so I commend you. No discussion? No discussion, we're ready for a vote. Everybody's done their homework. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. I'm sorry we have so many first readings tonight. 2.7, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-19 on a first reading. An ordinance rezoning 3 parcels located in the 9th Civil District. One located on R.A. Benton Lane from medium-density residential district to multiple residential and office district, and 2 parcels located on South Main Street from low-density residential district to multiple residential and office district. Motion made by Alderman Gregg and second by Alderman... Let me start over. A motion made by Alderman Green, a second by Alderman Gregg to discuss. Ms. Brickles?
Ordinance 21-19, an ordinance rezoning 3 parcels, one located on R.A. Benton Lane from medium-density residential district R10 to multiple residential and office district MRO, and 2 parcels located on South Main Street from low-density residential district R40 to multiple residential and office district MRO. Whereas an application for rezoning was presented to the Springfield Planning Commission by Thomas Rogers, owner, and Jonathan Trout and Dustin Brand, owners authorized agents, requesting 1 parcel, tax map 102, parcel 16 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, approximately 20.54 acres located at 3220 R.A. Benton Lane to be rezoned from medium-density residential district to multiple residential and office district. Whereas an application for rezoning was presented to the Springfield Planning Commission by Carolyn Cooper, owner, and Jonathan Trout and Dustin Bram, owners authorized agents, requesting 2 parcels, tax map 102, parcel 17 and 18 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, approximately 1.80 acres total, located at 2663 South Main Street, be rezoned from low-density residential district to multiple residential and office district. Whereas the Springfield Planning Commission has reviewed the application and voted with a favorable recommendation for these parcels to be rezoned. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. 1 parcel totaling approximately 20.54 acres owned by Thomas Rogers, located on R.A. Benton Lane, tax map 102, parcel 16 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, and being more fully described by Exhibit A attached, is hereby rezoned from medium-density residential district to multiple residential and office district. 2 parcels totaling approximately 1.8 acres owned by Carolyn Cooper, located on South Main Street, tax map 102, parcel 17 and 18 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, and being more fully described by Exhibit B attached, is hereby rezoned from low-density residential district to multiple residential and office district. This rezoning shall become effective following its 3rd and final passage as required by law.
Thank you. Time for discussion and questions. Yes,
These entrances and exits, 2 that they have, they're both onto South Main, is that right, Mr. Brewer?
Ultimately, yes. The south entrance starts on R.A. Benton and is part of R.A. Benton. They're going to upgrade R.A. Benton and does intersect with South Main Street down that way. If you look at the preliminary design, that lower entrance, though, it's I have to give Josh quite a bit of credit. He's made that where it's not an easily accessible entrance or exit. So it's trying to force more of the traffic out on the north side on South Main Street. This lower exit would be a more of a right-hand turn going towards Nashville exit.
So it's just going to be a turn right only, or it's designed, hoping it to be.
We're hoping that we'll see. We haven't gotten that far yet. This is just a preliminary layout for the zoning, for the rezoning purposes.
And these are townhomes? What
Yes,
are
sir.
they?
Townhomes, and with some commercial up front.
And the number being proposed?
Approximately 235 units with a commercial unit up front.
Okay. Other questions? While Mr. Brewer's at the mic? No.
Comment.
No. Yes, sir.
I appreciate them doing the commercial. Everyone that's been bringing things before us has just been multi-residential, and they're willing to put some commercial out there, and that's what it's all about. So thank you.
Great point. Other questions? Before Mr. Brewer sits down. Okay, thank you, Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor.
No discussion? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.8, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-20 on a first reading. An ordinance rezoning 2 parcels located on Hall Lane from commercial general district to multiple residential and office district. Do we have a motion to discuss? Motion made by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Alderman Green. Ms. Brickles?
Ordinance 21-20, an ordinance rezoning two parcels located on Hall Lane from Commercial General District, CG, to Multiple Residential and Office District, MRO. Whereas an application for rezoning was presented to the Springfield Planning Commission by Rick and Janie Osell, owners, requesting one parcel, tax map 114F, Group A, parcel 21 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, approximately 4.7 acres, located at 5650 Hall Lane, be rezoned from commercial general to multiple residential and office district. Whereas an application for rezoning was presented to the Springfield Planning Commission by William Donald West and Clayton Peterson, owners, requesting one parcel, tax map 114F, Group A, parcel 22 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, approximately .86 acres total, located at 5680 Hall Lane, be rezoned from commercial general to multiple residential and office district. Whereas the Springfield Planning Commission has reviewed the applications and voted with a favorable recommendation for these parcels to be rezoned. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. One parcel totaling approximately 4.7 acres owned by Janie and Rick Osell, located on Hall Lane, tax map 114F, Group A, parcel 21 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, and being more fully described by Exhibit A attached, is hereby rezoned from Commercial General District to Multiple Residential and Office District. One parcel totaling approximately .86 acres owned by William Donald West and Clayton Peterson, located on Hall Lane, tax map 114F, Group A, parcel 22 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, and being more fully described by Exhibit B attached, is hereby rezoned from Commercial General District to Multiple Residential and Office District. This rezoning shall become effective following its third and final passage as required by law.
Thank you. We're ready for discussion. Any questions?
Is there a plan here? Are they just wanting rezoning? Or?
The idea behind the rezoning, and Mr. Brewer, you can go on and come to the mic and you can fill in the gaps here, but they found out that in CG, if their residents were to be able to get destroyed or something were to happen to it, they would not be able to rebuild. They're grandfathered in right now because the structure
Their
was
residents
pre-existing.
rebuild their house.
Yes. So, Mr. Brewer, do I have that?
That is
summed up?
absolutely correct.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Brewer. Last call for discussion. We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.9, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-21 on a first reading. Ordinance rezoning 3 parcels located on New Chapel Road from R15 multiple, how about medium density residential district with a planned unit development overlay to R15 medium density residential district. Motion made by Alderman Green and a second by Alderman Hubbard to discuss. Ms. Brickles?
Ordinance 21-21, an ordinance rezoning 3 parcels located on New Chapel Road from R15 medium density residential district with a planned unit development overlay to R15 medium density residential district. Whereas in October of 2007, Bart Posey had 3 parcels that he owned, tax map 79, parcels 44, 47, and 49 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, zoned R15 medium density residential district with a planned unit development overlay totaling approximately 47.43 acres as read by ordinance 07-29, and whereas the planned unit development proposed for the parcels did not begin construction within the time frame specified by section 11-1030G of the Springfield zoning ordinance, and staff requested that the Planning Commission review and cancel the planned unit development overlay for the 3 parcels pursuant to said chapter and section of the zoning ordinance. Whereas the Springfield Regional Planning Commission has reviewed the planned unit development overlay and voted with a favorable recommendation to cancel the planned unit development for these parcels and rezone the 3 parcels to R15 medium density residential district. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. One parcel, approximately 45.01 acres, owned by Lee Smith on New Chapel Road, tax map 79, parcel 44 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, and being more fully described by Exhibit A attached, is hereby rezoned from R15 medium density residential district with a planned unit development overlay to to R15 Medium Density Residential District. One parcel, approximately 1.02 acres, owned by Robert and Kendra McNeese, located on New Chapel Road, tax map 79, parcels 47 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, and being more fully described by Exhibit B attached, is hereby rezoned from R15 Medium Density Residential District with the Planned Unit Development Overlay to R15 Medium Density Residential District. One parcel, approximately 1.40 acres, owned by Michelle Cobb, located on New Chapel Road, tax map 79, parcel 49 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, and being more fully described by Exhibit C attached, is hereby rezoned from R15 Medium Density Residential District with the Planned Unit Development Overlay to R15 Medium Density Residential District. This rezoning shall become effective following its third and final passage as required by law.
Thank you. I'm going to call on Ryan Martin, our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first of two PUD cancellations that are on our agenda tonight. This is essentially, if I can boil it down to kind of be real simple, it's a protective mechanism. These are PUDs that were approved, both of them almost 14 years ago, and a lot's changed in Springfield in 14 years. These particular parcels, the ownership has changed, so that original owner that got the PUD approved through the Planning Commission and the Board of Mayor and Alderman is no longer the owner of the property, so these owners have been contacted. They do not object to this cancellation, and so this is more of a protective mechanism because PUDs are a very serious thing. This board just went through a consideration of a pretty significant PUD that's going to take place in the south part of Springfield, so rezoning this to remove the PUD overlay is a wise move right now. PUDs expire within a year if they haven't begun, and these have been 14, so there have been ample opportunity to act on this, and so we're recommending to you all that we move forward with both of these tonight. The Planning Commission has recommended those as well.
Thank you. Questions?
Just returns it back to the original zoning.
It does. All it does is remove the PUD overlay. We have to rezone it.
Removing the PUD, they can put less on the property than they could with the PUD.
Yeah, so you lose the density upgrade with the PUD, so it's R15 instead of R15 with the PUD, this particular one.
Other questions? No other questions? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
2.10, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-22 on a first reading, or ordinance rezoning portions of two parcels located on William A. Batson Parkway from RS20 low-density residential districts with a planned unit development overlay to RS20 low-density residential district. We have a motion made by Alderman Gregg and a second by Alderman Green to discuss. Ms. Brickles, first reading.
Ordinance 21-22, an ordinance rezoning portions of two parcels on William A. Batson Parkway from RS20 low-density residential district with the planned unit development overlay to RS20 low-density residential district. Whereas in May of 2007, Billy and Jean Batson had portions of two parcels that he owned, tax map 102, parcels 111 and 114 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, rezoned RS20 low-density residential district with a planned unit development overlay totaling approximately 23.52 acres as read by ordinance 07-08. And whereas the planned unit development proposed for the parcels did not begin construction within the time frame specified by section 11-1003G of the Springfield zoning ordinance, and staff requested that the Planning Commission review and cancel the planned unit development overlay for portions of these two parcels pursuant to said chapter and section of the zoning ordinance. And whereas the Springfield Regional Planning Commission has reviewed the planned unit development overlay and voted with a favorable recommendation to cancel the planned unit development for these parcels and rezone the portions of the two parcels to RS20 low-density residential district. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. A portion of one parcel, approximately 3.39 acres, owned by Billy and Jean Batson, located on William A. Batson Parkway, tax map 102, parcel 111 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, being more fully described by Exhibit A attached, is hereby rezoned from RS20 low-density residential district with the planned unit development overlay to RS20 Low Density Residential District. A portion of one parcel, approximately 20.13 acres, owned by Lisa and Michael Gupton, located on New Cut Road, tax map 102, parcel 114 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, and being more fully described by Exhibit B attached, is hereby rezoned from RS20 Low Density Residential District with a planned unit development overlay to RS20 Low Density Residential District. This rezoning shall become effective following its third and final passage as required by law.
Thank you. Discussion. No questions? Okay, we're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 2.11, discuss and possible take action on ordinance 21-23 on a first reading. Ordinance amending Title V of the Springfield Municipal Code by enacting a privilege tax upon the occupancies in any hotel or motel. Motion made by Vice Mayor Harris, a second by Alderman Green to discuss. And this is the first reading, so Ms. Brickles.
Ordinance 21-23, an ordinance amending Title V of the Springfield Municipal Code by enacting a privilege tax upon the occupancy in any hotel or motel. Whereas Public Chapter 496, amending Tennessee Code Annotated 67-4-1402, authorizes the City of Springfield to levy by ordinance a hotel motel tax up to 4% of the consideration charged to a transient by the hotel operator. And whereas Article 4, Section 13 of the Charter of the City of Springfield requires taxes be levied by ordinance, and whereas Public Chapter 496 requires the proceeds of which can be utilized by the City of Springfield for the promotion of tourism and tourism development as defined in Tennessee Code Annotated 67-4-1401, and whereas it is deemed in the best interest of the City of Springfield to levy a 4% hotel motel occupancy tax, the proceeds of which will be dedicated solely for the promotion of tourism and tourism development in the City of Springfield, and whereas the City of Springfield desires to enact such a tax to promote the economic growth of the city through tourism. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Title V of the Springfield Municipal Code is hereby amended by adding a new chapter entitled Chapter 5 Hotel Motel Occupancy Tax to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Thank you. I'm going to call on our city manager, Mr. Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. So if you remember, most of you were here, this board passed in January of 2020 a resolution asking the state legislature, the Tennessee General Assembly, to pass a private act authorizing the City of Springfield to levy an occupancy tax on hotels and motels. That was in January of 20, and then COVID-19 happened, so the legislature kind of scaled back to the essentials in the legislative session last year. This year, the legislature resolved that issue once and for all, where formerly cities had to get a private act passed. This year, the legislature said, okay, we're going to do a public act, and they changed the law regarding hotel motel tax, and any city that does not have one can enact the measure up to 4%. So that helped us out because we had asked for 3, and we're going to be able to do 4. So that helps us out a little bit more than what we thought we were going to do in January of 2020. We've been doing a great deal of research, and Mr. Nolan, if you'll pass the mic down, I'll let our Assistant City Manager, Candace Tillman, kind of talk about what the plans are from here on out if the board chooses to pursue this opportunity.
Sure. So we have researched different cities to see what they are doing with this money, and also how to go about once they. Sorry.
There we go. Hello. And so this ordinance is actually modeled after Goodlettsville and Columbia. And so what our plan is from here, once this is approved, we don't have a plan to where we're going to spend the money. Obviously, it has to be for tourism and tourism development. But what Columbia suggested and did very well, they hired a marketing and branding tourism company that did a study, and so that the study told them exactly where they needed to spend those dollars, and they've been very successful with their Visit Columbia brand. So that is our intent moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Tillman. Anything else?
Well, we expect that study to cost about $50,000, so the first couple of quarters, by the time this thing gets started, will be spent. We'll kind of save up some of that and do a study. So we know what it has to be used for tourism development, so we know what needs to be promoted. And so we've been doing a lot of research on that, and we'll have more of an idea on that later.
Do we have any guesstimate of what revenue it will generate, or?
We expect that it might be around $150,000 to $180,000 a year on top of the additional hotel motel. And that's the difference in the law. So that the current hotel motel tax that we're receiving can be used for economic development purposes. The law changed for new hotel motel taxes. It's tourism and tourism development, and those terms are specifically defined in the statute. So our current hotel motel tax money, based on the county share that's collected through the county motel tax, is going to be separate from this.
Okay.
Are these funds paid quarterly, monthly, from the hotel to the city, or how's that work?
Monthly.
So they're paid monthly.
Paid monthly?
They're paid monthly. They remit the tax monthly, the same way they do for the county tax, same way they do for these other.
The hotels we currently have, any taxes that's been being collected has gone to the county.
That's correct.
We have not received any of those funds.
No, sir. There's a 7% tax countywide, and then what we do receive those funds. So
We get a portion.
the Economic Development Board, County Economic Development Board, and we collect 30% of that which is collected inside the city limits. But it's not our tax. It doesn't come through in front of us.
And we'll continue to collect that?
Yes, that's state
So
law.
this is on top of that.
Good questions. Anything else? No other questions? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
2.12, discuss and possible take action on Resolution 21-26, a resolution to request funds for the completion of Highway 431 widening project. Motion made by Alderman Hubbard and a second by Alderman Green to discuss. Questions on this resolution? Sir, do you have a question?
No, I was just thinking about the big task that you're gonna have. And this is gonna start at the creek and go all the way to 24.
Yes, sir. That's what this resolution requests the state to fund. As you know, the county passed a mirrored resolution last month at their meeting. So this request for us to do this comes from Representative Kumar, and so it would really be beneficial economically and in other ways to Springfield for that to be finished from the county line to I-24.
It's important for our businesses to have that.
It's important, but I'm just,
I mean, Georgia's be a Dawson County one.
It will.
yeah.
Springfield pretty much, Robertson pretty much has it.
Correct. Any other discussion? No discussion, we're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
3.1, discuss and possible take action on the adjustments of the retail electric rates of the Springfield Electric Department due to a wholesale fuel adjustment by the Tennessee Valley Authority. Motion to discuss by Alderman Green, a second by Alderman Hubbard. I'm going to call on Miss Jessica Toms. She's filling in tonight. Do you have good news?
Yes.
Good.
EPA has an adjustment, fuel cost adjustment of 1.874 cents, and the resulting retail rate for August is 0.3% lower.
Good. Thank you.
Maybe that'll help me.
We all need a little help, right? Cost of everything seems to be rising. Any discussion? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 3.2, discuss and possible take action on the adjustments to the monthly gas rates for the Springfield Gas Department. We need a motion. Motion made by Vice Mayor Harris and a second by Alderman Green. Mr. Riddle, are you going the same direction?
I wish we were going lower with this gas market. Right now it's rocking, but it's only up slightly. Purchase gas adjustment's only up slightly, 2.36%.
Okay. Any questions? Discussion? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 3.3, State Form CT-0253, a report on the debt obligations. which reports $6,325,000 general obligation public improvement refunding bonds, Series 2021, issued on June 28th of 2021. No action required. We have to make sure this is in our meeting. 3.4, discuss and possible take action to approve an interlocal agreement between E911 Emergency Communication District of the Robertson County, and other municipalities in the county for dispatch service. Motion made by Alderman Green and a second by Vice Mayor Harris to discuss. Chief Head, I know you serve on this board of E911, and we thank you for serving on that board. And we also want to tell everyone that you have completed the Chief Executive Leadership Program, and we're so proud of you. Thank you so much. You do an excellent job, and we're so glad to tell everybody about those new credentials you have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any discussion to approve this interlocal agreement? I'm sure that Chief will come to the mic and answer all the questions. You have?
In my opinion, fair share.
No questions? Okay. We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 3.5, discuss and possible take action to approve the proposal for a customer clarification study in the amount of $26,200 from Chris Mitchell, Management Consultant of Norris, Tennessee. Motion made by Alderman Green and a second by Alderman Gregg to discuss. Questions?
Some explanation as to what exactly
Yes, sir.
this is.
Sure. So this is a study to audit all of our electric customer classifications. So there are multiple rate structures that we have within the electric system, and to make sure that someone is in the proper classification, because it's based on, we have our residential, our commercial, industrial. So to audit that usage and make sure that the customer is in the proper classification, which makes sure that they're being charged the proper electric rate.
Is it something that's required to be done, or?
It's not.
Do we think there's a problem, or?
It's something that hasn't been done. So we just did a meter audit study, which is something else that hadn't been done. And so Mr. Sachs, he's not here tonight, and Ms. Toms might want to speak more to it. But there are some things that we need to do that we haven't been doing, and checking, having a third party. All of our meters are audited, and rates are audited for our utilities, and electric hasn't done that. So this is something it's time to do that.
I think we talked about this in the strategic
We did.
planning, that it's important that we go through. I think y'all found some errors already.
As far, but you're looking at it from a standpoint that somebody may be paying residential rates, but they're in a commercial setting.
Or commercial and industrial, or the different brackets of commercial and industrial. Because if you look at that electric rate classification, you can see the different classifications. If you look in 3.1, look at those different retail rates, and you'll see all those different classifications. And so this ensures that people are in the right classification, especially when you get into commercial, and the industrial folks.
So this could possibly lower rates some?
Could.
Or raise some rates?
Could, yeah, could go either way. Hopefully, our hope is that we spend this money to find out that everyone is perfect, that everyone is exactly where they should be. Then we know that we're doing, we've done exactly what we should be doing, and that no mistakes. And usage changes. Usage changes, and a lot of things can change over the course of years. But it's a good idea to have a third party come in and audit all of our many thousands of customers and their accounts, and look. And it's not, and it's just usage classification. It's not personal data or anything like that. It sounded kind of bad when I said it that way. They're not going to audit our customers. Just look at the usage on the accounts.
Any other questions? No other questions? We're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 6-1.
Thank you. 3.6. Discuss and possible take action to approve an engineering proposal for the East Hillcrest Pump Station upgrade in the amount of $35,000 from Griggs & Malone, Inc., Murfreesboro, Tennessee. This is a budget capital improvement. Do you have a motion to discuss? Motion by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Alderman Green. Any questions? No questions, we're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. 3.7, discuss and possible take action to approve the 3-year license agreement to purchase mapping and spectacle analysis software in the amount of $69,750 for the Environmental Systems Research Institution, Inc. as a sole source. Motion made by Alderman Hubbard and a second by Alderman Green to discuss. Any questions? No questions? We're ready for a vote. Okay. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the votes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, we're ready for our consent doc.
Without objection, I move we take it as one.
Okay. Motion made by Alderman Hubbard, a second by Alderman Trotter. Any questions? No questions, we're ready for a vote. Anyone like to change their vote? Please record the vote. I want to
Passes 7-0.
Oh, sorry. I want to welcome in the back of the room our new Public Affairs Coordinator, Miss Kara Zahn. Please stand up. Welcome. She comes from the city of Clarksville, so we are so glad to have you and hope that we will all get to work with you very shortly. We haven't been here since the 4th of July. And I've got to tell you, Parks and Recreation, and I saw every department out there. The electric department worked very hard. I saw all of you. Fire department, there wasn't any department that wasn't there. What an amazing event. And I want to thank Grace Baptist Church, Vulcan, all the other sponsors that I can't list. I'm sure Ms. Tillman could name them all off the top of her head as hard as she worked on that project. And Mr. Martin, it was a great event. Our city came together. Ricky Skaggs was here. We had great fireworks. We had great food, lots of food trucks. We had some amazing food trucks that we've never had before. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you weren't there, I'm so sorry to you if you went to the beach. Thank you. Y'all did a superb job.
Glad this wasn't all about Terry.
Well, I think that everybody pulled this off, and Terry, yes, he coordinated it all, and it was a great event. Mr. Martin was out there working with his foot injured, so it was a great day, and we were all still smiling at whatever time we left. It was a late night, but it was a great night, and I just commend all of you. Yes. I'm gonna, just a minute, Mr. Harris had his hand up, and then I'm gonna call on the city manager.
Before he gives his report, I just want to commend Mr. Martin and Ms. Tillman, the other department heads, for the work that they are doing. There's just a lot of tweaks that are being made, a lot of policies and procedures that are being looked at, a lot of codes that are being looked at that you're trying to redo and bring up to present time. I know it's something that's not going to take place overnight, but you are looking at it and slowly bringing it before us each month for the changes that need to be made, everything that we do in that respect to get the proper procedures in line and the proper fees to be paid for things are things that help us to keep our tax rate lower to our citizens, and I just appreciate the work that you and all the department heads and everyone's doing.
Everybody's working so hard, and the excitement and the new things that are going on in Springfield and Robertson County are so fun. It's so fun to be a part of this. Mr. Hubbard, and then I'm going to go to the city manager.
I want to say on a serious note, let's pay attention to this Delta virus. We want healthy employees and healthy citizens. Let's pay attention to the medical staff. Not the politicalization of it, but the medical determinant. Thank you.
City manager.
Thank you, ma'am. You mentioned Freedom Fest was a huge success. We estimated about a little over 7,000 people were in attendance that night, so it was a big deal. We thank you for your help. You didn't mention yourself, but we appreciate your assistance as well. You were out there working just as hard as we were. So one bit of important news, the Dixie Youth 9-10 Baseball State Tournament is going on right now in Greenbrier. As a matter of fact, the Springfield team is still in it, and I hope Alderman Gregg doesn't tell me otherwise here in a moment, because he's been getting scoring updates during the meeting, because we both have family members playing in that tournament. But
what's the score?
The significance of that is the fact that Dixie Youth Baseball had their hotel block for the people that were coming into town from all over the state to stay. They had 2 hotels blocked out at group rates, and that was the Holiday Inn Express in Springfield and the Hampton Inn in Springfield. So that means that all these people coming in from all over the state were staying in Springfield, shopping in Springfield, eating in Springfield, and spending money here. So we talk about regionalism from time to time. That concept right there really drives home, and this event drives home that concept of regionalism, in that what happens in Greenbrier matters to Springfield, where we're the economic engine, and we benefit from things like that. So we're glad to that they're hosting that tournament. Even though it wasn't Springfield hosting it, we're glad they did, because we certainly got an economic benefit from it. So we also want to give a shout out to our 11 and 12 All-Stars. They made it to the state tournament in Savannah this past week, but they finished 4th, I believe. So we're proud of these young men and the fact that they're representing Springfield so well. The mayor will be hosting the State of the City event on Thursday. That is the day after tomorrow. You can still register by tomorrow. We have a very few spots left. That is jointly hosted by the Kiwanis Club of Springfield and the Springfield Rotary Club. It's going to be at the center at 11:30 on Thursday. First Friday Night Market will be back on August 6th. The band for that night for our summer concert will be Hotlanta, which is an Allman Brothers tribute band. So that'll be fun. A couple of other things to mention to put on your calendar before our next meeting is Bransford Day is back this year on Saturday, August 7th. There'll be a parade and plenty of other festivities, including a ribs and chicken contest. There will be the Robertson County Historical Society is hosting an event to commemorate the filming of The Last Days of Frank and Jesse James. Some of you will remember that was filmed in 1985 on the square, and they dumped a bunch of dirt out on the square, and Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson and Waylon Jennings and a lot of folks starred in that movie that were very popular at the time. Excuse me. So they're celebrating the anniversary of that, and so they will not be dumping dirt on the square. So that was the first question we had for them when they approached us and said, hey, we want to do an event for this movie. We're like, are you dumping the dirt? And so they said no, but they will have some reenactments from the movie, and so it'll be a fun event. They're going to have a lot of different things going on that day. That's on the square Saturday, August 14th. And then as Mr. Hubbard brought up finally, COVID-19. So you see a lot about the Delta variant. I've been in contact with Randy Davis, who's the CEO of our local hospital, Northcrest Medical Center, and he shared with me that currently there's no cause for concern locally, but cases are steadily rising across Tennessee. So it's something that they're constantly monitoring the data on, keeping an eye on, and but he did stress that nearly all of the hospitalizations are from those that are unvaccinated. So he continues to encourage folks and wanted us to continue to encourage folks to get vaccinated, as that's our best chance at protection and getting this thing finally in the rearview mirror. So, Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, we don't thank Randy Davis enough for what he's done in the past year and a half in our community, and Northcrest has been vital for making sure that we had updated information all the time, and thank you to Randy Davis for all he does for our community. Shop in Springfield, spend your money. The meeting is adjourned.